welcome to Assembly Audible. I'm your host, Jennifer Pierce. We're broadcasting from the Assembly Show South in Nashville, Tennessee, and we would like to thank you so much for listening in today. I'm joined by Meaghan Ziemba. Yes,
hi everyone.
Many of you may know Meaghan. She started as a technical writer and founded the live video series Mavens of Manufacturing in 2020. Meaghan, welcome.
Hi, how are you doing, Jennifer?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to talk to you again. I've had the pleasure of interviewing you a few times.
Yep.
And it's always great to connect.
Yes, I love that I'm catching up because I wasn't here last year at the show, so I'm super excited to be back in Nashville because I love this city. It's one of my favorite places.
Yes, mutual feelings. So how has your work changed or evolved since I interviewed you the first time?
Yeah, so when I was first starting out with Mavens, I was kind of just figuring out the whole podcasting adventure. I was looking up different tools that I could use to be more efficient and have better quality. My graphics are definitely more on point than they were at the beginning, thanks you to Canva. So I have a subscription to that. And then I'm actually interviewing women from other countries now. So it's not just women in the United States. Before I came to the show today, I was talking to a young woman in Korea, and she wants to come on to Mavens and talk about, she's actually from Sweden, but she lives in Korea with her husband, and she wants to talk about, the state of women in manufacturing there and what some of the big differences are. And then this week I'll be talking to Florencia, who is from Argentina, and she's going to be talking about some of the challenges and barriers she had to overcome being a woman in manufacturing in Argentina. So super excited that it's international and we're bringing awareness to the cool opportunities across the globe for women to pursue.
Oh, wow. That's inspiring and exciting, and also good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's fun to watch your work and, just keep tabs on what you do, especially you're very active on LinkedIn. So if you're not already, make sure to follow Meaghan to keep up with your Mavens of Manufacturing journey. So we're going to do something slightly different today. We're going to talk about the top 5 developments in manufacturing and where there's still room for improvement according to Meaghan Ziemba.
Yeah, so I am a storyteller, so I'm not I'm sure there's improvements everywhere in manufacturing and engineering on the technical side of things, but when I'm looking at storytelling and content as a whole, some of the things that I've been noticing, for one, is AI. So AI is being talked about all over this place, especially with smaller companies who might not have that marketing budget or a strong marketing team, and it's really helping marketers take less time to create good content that they can share with their audiences. So that's super exciting. There's a lot of debate on whether or not, if it's going to be as efficient or up to date with some of the information, because we can get pretty technical. So definitely don't use it 100% and not check your information, especially with the technical information. You want to make sure that what you're putting into the prompt, that the technical information is still accurate, because it's not just pulling from certain places, it's pulling from everywhere, and there is bad data out there, so you want to make sure that the data is accurate. The other thing is companies are becoming more strategic with their content, so they are actually bringing more of that human element into some of their stories. It's not just boring brochures or white papers or stuff that's packed with technical jargon. You're actually seeing the people behind the machines and that company culture, and with that, companies are building more trust. So it's pretty cool to see all of these personal stories of someone like Nush, who has been on LinkedIn. She started asking questions on LinkedIn, and people started responding to her, and she switched her position a couple times. She started her own podcast. So it's that human connection that's really driving people to pay attention to some of these companies and actually build a trusting relationship with them, so that eventually they're going to be customers of these companies and buy them.
Absolutely.
So I'm super excited about that. The other things that I had written down, one is with workforce development. We are struggling right now to find great labor. The talent is out there, but we have to be able to capture their attention, and younger generations aren't flipping through magazines. They're not going and reading books the way that we read them. They're
Right.
on their phone the majority of the time.
Right.
So companies have to be more creative and open-minded to go to channels that they haven't gone before, whether that's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. I don't know if a lot of the younger generations are using Facebook right now, but they seem to be on like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and they don't want to read boring text. They want
Yeah.
to see a video that has good visuals, it's 2 to 3 minutes long, and they're able to pick up that information right away. So I'm seeing a lot more of the workforce development getting digitized. One of the companies here is Pico MES, and
yes.
they have their digital work instructions, and I was terrible at it because it was my first time, but I feel like if I go to their booth today and I redid it, I would have an easier time to do it. But when I was at the assembly show in Chicago, one of the sales guys that they had in the booth, he was like, yeah, a kid came by here and they were like, wow, this is like the video games that I play. So we're seeing that gamification in some of these training
that's
modules.
cool. Yeah.
So it's really getting younger generations excited about coming in and joining the industry.
I have a question for you, and this may be somewhat challenging to answer, but say, for example, a manufacturer successfully captures the attention of who they're targeting, right? Whatever platform they're on, LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever. Do you think that they have an employee package or employee incentives that are strong enough to retain talent after they get them in the door?
I think yes and no. So I've seen companies are doing a really good job at having conversations with their employees and their long-term goals, and they're following up with it. But I've also seen other companies who are not doing a very good job of that. So a gentleman from the East Coast that I talked to, he took over a company, and one of the main changes that he followed through with is he went down to 4-day work weeks.
That's huge.
So they have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, but he was also treating his part-time workers as the full-time salary workers. So part-time workers have the same sick days, vacation days, wellness days, whatever you want to call them. They have that same stack that the salary workers have. They also have bonus opportunities. So if they come to him and say, hey, I think I can cut production time on this, here's how we can do it, he'll give him that opportunity to follow through with their idea. And if it actually saves the company money or makes them more money, that part-time employee gets a percentage of a bonus.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and then he also said, some of my workers are parents, so if the part-time employee has something that comes up within 1 or 2 hours, if they give me that notice, I'll let them take that time off. And then as long as they come back and just make up those hours, they are free to take care of whatever emergency they need to take care of. And he's like, and they can even come in on Friday if they can't get that time made up during the week, they can take Friday to come in and make up the hours. So he gives them autonomy. He treats them like human beings. He's having these conversations with them. He's making them feel like part of the team and not just a number that's helping him make company. And his retention rate is actually in like the 90 percentile.
Yes, I could see that. I think it's important to remember that, so many people, almost everyone is, unless you're an executive, I feel like almost everyone is juggling multiple gigs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so to honor that and to realize that and then create a schedule or a system around that ideology seems to make a lot of sense to me.
I think, too, one of the things that more companies are starting to realize is you have to provide some sort of purpose for your employees. And employees that are purpose-driven are happier and they're more productive. So if they're going into work knowing that what they're doing is providing value either to themselves or society as a whole, they're going to be more driven to actually be a part of that work. So you're seeing a lot of shift in that narrative, and companies are focusing on, okay, how can this make your dreams come true and provide purpose in your life.
Right.
And so they're starting to connect the work to the employees with real world situations. So they're actually showing their employees, okay, yes, we're making these parts, but here's what they're going into, and this is why it's important for this application, because without it, it could be catastrophic kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing more of those types of stories come to the surface, which I think is really, really great, because a lot of people don't know why certain components are in certain things, and it gets kind of lost, and it's like, well, why should I care about this then? So when you can connect that human element to it,
yes,
it drives people to be a better employee and be more productive.
Right. People also want to learn skills that they can, and at least this is my opinion, that they can apply in other areas.
Yeah.
And it's super fascinating when you can connect the dots and say, okay, maybe this is something that I thought about or learned in marketing, but now I can apply it here. For me as a perpetual learner, that's super inspiring and very important in terms of my career.
Yeah. So I think that's another interesting conversation that comes up, because, you know, a lot of women, I feel like, want to be creative, and they're really good at multitasking from my observation. So if you can show them the ins and outs of the business, there's more opportunities for them to pursue leadership roles too, because right now we're still like 1 in 4 at the executive level in leadership, but I'm seeing more and more women like take ownership of their narratives, and they're starting to build tables and bring more women to the tables, and they're really taking ownership of like starting their own businesses or starting their own podcast or creating their own content, and they're inviting other women into those conversations, which wasn't happening when I started in the industry in 2008.
Yeah, that's inspiring. And I think one area of improvement, and this is maybe a general or a broad statement, but I think women are used to having to do a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that we get a lot done behind the scenes, and there's nothing wrong with saying, I did that.
Yeah.
Actually, that was me who did all that. Because if you don't say it, then people just assume that things get done automatically, and they're maybe not even sure of who is doing it. And
right.
So I feel like there's nothing wrong with saying, here are the productivity numbers, this is my contribution, and just stating the facts.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think that's why it's so important with this type of content that's getting distributed out, is representation matters. And when individuals like Nush, who just started her own podcast that's focused on the younger generation of women who are coming into the trades, I mean, she just started a group called Sisterhood of Trades. And she has gotten so much attention with that alone, and it's helping these younger women get that confidence they need to be in the spotlight. So I think women are doing a lot of great things. They're being more confident about it, and they're being louder, which is what we definitely need. So yes. I'm super excited to see how all this changes.
I can't help but peek at your notes. So the first thing on our top 5 list of developments, according to Meaghan Ziemba, you said, okay, AI powered everything, right? So we talked about, especially on small teams, I think it's critical. You can use AI to make marketing materials. So number 2 was, what is it?
Storytelling as strategy.
Okay, so we kind of went off in a few different directions there, but all related. And the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
So
you're showcasing the people, you're showcasing the purpose, and you're combining that with, okay, how does this make this particular process work? And I think that's very important, especially with this younger generation, because they're driven by purpose.
You're right, and I agree with you 100% that tangibly that we see improvements in that. And the power of that too is making people feel that they belong. Mm-hmm. Because from an outside perspective, and I can relate to that, not being from a manufacturing background, stepping into a show like this and feeling like, oh, this is not for me, right? Because it looks intimidating. Yeah. But then talking to people and bringing the human element in makes me feel like, you know what, maybe I do a different part of things. Maybe I interview people. Maybe I produce content, but I still can be involved here, and my contribution matters, right? So. Yeah, I love storytelling too. Obviously, digital media is one of my favorite things, so we could talk about this all day, I feel like.
Absolutely.
All right, so what's third on your list?
So the third one was the workforce, which we got into, and then reshoring is a big topic of conversation right now. And without diving into our political situation too much, it's not necessarily just a patriotic thing. It's just an economical thing. People want to buy from brands that they touch or trust. They want to buy locally because in the end, it's about their bottom line and not affecting too much of their profit margin. So reshoring is becoming a huge topic of discussion right now. People want American made, so you're starting to see more companies have that tagline in there. And I think, again, it brings back pride into what our work is as Americans. So it's all about that storytelling aspect as well. And then the fifth one that I was talking about is women in diverse talent and women just coming in and owning their narrative. So those are the 5 developments I'm seeing with improvement. We still got a lot of hurdles to jump. I feel like we have a long way to go with the diverse talent, especially with some of the administration decisions that were made. But again, diversity in thought, you have more innovation when you have more diversity in thought processes and critical thinking and problem solving, and it's just better for your bottom line when you have more people working on one problem. You just come up with more ideas. So I'm really excited because I think with the new way that companies are sharing their stories, they're getting younger generations really excited and they're starting to raise their eyebrows like, what is this and why is it important? And with organizations like First Robotics, kids are like really, really smart and they're coming up with these really great ideas and it's catching the attention of all these bigger companies. So really excited to see how that all plays in with building the future workforce.
You're right. And, we still, I think, have so much to learn from the older generations, right? And one thing that has really inspired me, and actually, this is not my top 5 list, but I did put this down and I wanted to run it by you to see what you think. So I remember when I first started a few years ago, everybody was talking about the retiring workforce, right? And actually, this principle or problem, I guess, also applies to aviation with pilots. Like a lot of people with tribal or like a lot of experience and knowledge are retiring rapidly. So people used to talk about how do we preserve this, right? How do we pass down this knowledge of, some of these people that have been working in these fields for 20, 30, 40 years even. And what I'm seeing now is actually applications that are doing this. Digital tools that are, whether a database or utilizing AI to standardize and preserve some of the knowledge of the retiring workforce. Do you think we're seeing more of that?
Definitely seeing more of that because, again, if we don't have the workforce, things are going to fail. And if you don't have the person that's been there for the 40 plus years, how are you going to fix something if it's broke? And Tim was the guy that knew how to fix the machine and he's not around anymore. So I think, again, one example here is Pico MES with the digital work instructions. It's condensing that information into an easy format and simplifying it so that kids can come in. I say kids, but they're really young adults, can come in and actually put something together based off of what these instructions are showing them. And a lot of the times you're going to that guy who was there for years and he knows how to fix it just based on his own interpretation of the information. So I think we're going to see more of that as the years come around, and definitely with AI getting better and faster, we're going to see more of that tribal knowledge captured. And I mean, even ERP systems and MES systems and content management systems, they're incorporating that tribal knowledge in some of their stuff as well. So I don't see that going away at all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed this conversation. Is there anything you'd like to close with today? Anything on the horizon that you're looking forward to? Yeah,
so I'm actually writing a book with Jim Mayer, and I think you're talking with him later on, but he's a big culture guy, and if your company culture is not good, your products aren't going to be good, your systems aren't going to be good. It's all linked together. So we're actually writing a book about, manufacturing and providing that purpose for kids to actually follow through with their aspirations and making their dreams come true. And we have almost the first 3 chapters done of it, so we're going to be sending out teasers for that. And I'm super excited to be on this journey with him. And just share your stories, like whatever you're doing, share the people in your company, mentor, get more women involved, get more kids involved. And if you're having trouble with that and you need someone to be your hype man, just contact me and I'll
Call
help
me.
hype it.
Here's my
Yeah,
phone number.
I'll help hype up your company.
I actually tell this story sometimes, but we had a professional, Harry Moser. I shout him out sometimes. He's really big in reshoring.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the only person on the podcast who's ever actually listed his phone number. Call 1-800, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to bring 1-800 numbers back.
Well, my cell phone number is on my LinkedIn page, so you can check that out.
Write it down.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm not going to say it on here, but you can go on LinkedIn and definitely get my phone number.
All right. Well, Meaghan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Assembly Audible from Nashville. Until next time, I'm Jennifer Pierce signing off for today. Bye.